Last night in one of the Republican primary states, good news for us, bad news for Donald Trump at the same time. Now, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the results of the gubernatorial Republican primary off in Nebraska. You can take a look at this graphic and you'll see that Jim Pillen wins with 33.9% of the vote. Him winning isn't good news for anyone. He's a Republican, he's gonna be terrible. But he did beat, on the way, Charles Herbster. Down goes Herbster. Okay, now we've been talking about Charles Herbster a lot recently because we feel like it's insane that more of the terrible things he's been alleged to do hasn't made the news. And in fact, even in announcing the fact that he lost, Fox News attempted to gloss over all of that bad news, saying Trump notches a loss in Nebraska as Herbster goes down in GOP gubernatorial primary. That is all true. And like, fitting with the mission statement of Fox News, doesn't tell you any of the important part of the story. Because if you're not familiar with this, Charles Herbster has been alleged to have sexually assaulted 8 women, including multiple GOP legislators, on the record talking about their experience with him. Now, Trump initially endorsed him before all of this made news, but even after more and more came out, he doubled and tripled down because Charles Herbster, sure, he may sexually assault lots of women, but he also put Trump 1 on his bus. So I guess it's all good. And he was apparently back. He was there with Trump in the room way back in 2015 when he slowly, weirdly came down that escalator. Charles Herbster was in that room. It was Trump, Herbster, and a bunch of paid actors. So anyway, Herbster did lose, probably because of those 8 women, including the state legislators that accused him. Trump told him to fight back aggressively using the same model that Trump has used when many women have accused him of raping and sexually harassing them. So he did the same thing, and Trump defended him, saying he's been maligned, he's been badly maligned, and that's a shame. That's why I came out here. It would have been easier for me to say I'm not coming out, but I defend people when I know they're good. He's a good man. Well, maybe not. And look, honestly, this is good news that he lost to JR. I didn't think it would happen. I thought the fact that he had harassed all these women would clinch the election for him. Although let's bear in mind, it was a very narrow loss. A couple of points.
I was looking at that. That's what I was thinking. Was it 3 points?
3
Something like that, 3 to 4 points. So it was pretty close, which then, yes, we can congratulate this other bad person for winning. But then when it comes to this guy who has been accused of so many of these claims by these multiple women on the record, as you pointed out. What's weird is, you mentioned that Trump endorsed him before all these allegations came out. So the first thought could have been like, well, he already made his endorsement. What's he supposed to do? Maybe he didn't have that information. We're gonna blame Trump for the things potentially this guy did. But again, I feel like we're beginning to forget, not us here, but people in general forgetting that the reasons why Trump can overlook these things is because he was accused of many of these same types of things. And skirted by talking about locker room talk and can you believe that woman's face? Why would I want to have anything to do with her? Oh my God, she's ugly. I don't think he went to the what was she wearing, but people were asking one of the women that's the alleged victim of Herbster what she was wearing. It's the same cycle of trying to discredit these folks for pointing out what potentially happened to them. Now, by the way, he also had an issue with Josh Mandel. Remember this? Remember the reasons why he didn't like Josh Mandel and he actually over in Ohio and he endorsed JD Vance over him? Because of his weird sexual proclivities. Rumors, by the way, because he likes to gossip around Mar-a-Lago about people's weird sexual proclivities. And apparently Josh Mandel's got too many for him to want to endorse. Herbster apparently doesn't have any weird sexual proclivities. He just has been accused of assaulting women. That's not weird at all. That's straight up the strong cisgendered male Republicans activity. That's just man being a man going after a woman, the boy chasing a girl. That's their thought of normalcy when it comes to sexual activity.
Yep, that's just alpha stuff right there. So Josh Mandel, as you said, had weird sexual proclivities, and also specifically one of the quotes was had a gross penis. That's a thing that, thank you, Donald Trump and your political movement for making us talk about gross penises. Now, presumably, we cannot rule out a possible other reality. If this was a multiverse, maybe if Herbster had sexually assaulted all of these women while having a provably gross penis, maybe then Trump would have retracted his endorsement. But for all we know, he's got a beautiful penis. And so he gets to go around assaulting all of these women. And Donald Trump loves him more for it. The electorate there nearly chooses him to be governor. And Fox News does what they do, which is to not serve as a news outlet, but as a filter to protect their snowflake audience from inconvenient truths. Like you could have said, Donald Trump, accused of assaulting literally dozens of women, loses after endorsing Herbster, accused of endorsing a good portion of a dozen women. You could have said that would have been news, it would have been true, but this is Fox News, so they ignore it, of course. Anyway, Donald Trump, by the way, hasn't said anything as of this morning. He's still silent about the fact that he lost in this endorsement. Now, he won other endorsements. And look, maybe some of them might have been difficult. It might have been, that his endorsement actually mattered. In a lot of the cases, he's cruising in. He's choosing whichever no substance, no experience legislator is most deferential to him. That's the only thing any Republican voter has to go on, and so they just choose that person. But no, so far with Nebraska, that was a big loss, and maybe that implies that like maybe Herschel Walker won't win. I mean, Max Miller already did, and who knows what's going to happen with Greitens. Like maybe the Republicans will turn against some of these abusers. JR,
John, you're a positive guy, man. That's what I like about you. You always think of the positive, not about the reality. No, actually, I never really had a full belief that Herschel Walker would come through. But I mean, even with the positive numbers coming his way, I was just thinking eventually people would look up and finally go, yeah, this was fun for a while, but now, really, what is it he's gonna do? Because they do have critical thought process skills when it comes to black candidates that are also garbage for what they may do once they're in office. But when it comes to their good old boys, we can overlook that, but they just can't get beyond some things. So they might see the flaws in Herschel.
Yeah. Well, there's some other races, by the way, that we're not there yet, but we can say Dr. Oz in a new poll is at 22% in the Pennsylvania Senate Republican primary, only up 2 points over McCormick. It's a pretty split field, but to be fair, I mean, I recall like a month ago, Oz was down. I think he was at like 10 or 12%, and Trump has endorsed him. So it's either that, JR, or it's did you see his ad of him shooting guns?
Oh, I loved it. I did that.
Dr.
Oz, so wonderful. Yeah. I think that's what did it.
He's a tough guy.
If I think there was the line, he goes, and if anybody thinks I'm not the pro Second Amendment rights, I'll show you. Pull. So is that the idea, Dr. Oz? If you don't believe I'm for Second Amendment rights, I just might shoot something.
Exactly.
He's got
how many times, by the way, do you think they tried to just do a wide shot where he said that, turned and shot it in one shot? How many times do you think they tried that before they're like, we'll just do it in post?
John, I look at these kinds of details. I look at these details. Whenever somebody does an ad, I think Charlie Kirk did a basketball ad. You see him shooting, and then all you see is the hoop and then it going in. Yep. Oh, because that's what really just happened.
I want to see the Office style deleted scenes of catch y'all on the flippity flip of him over and over trying to shoot it and missing. That footage is somewhere. Someone needs to leak it. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.